Hey, William Gilmore here for the ScreenwritersJourney.com, and this is part three of the three-part blog series regarding respect in the collaborative arts, filmmaking. In the first two parts, I discussed or showed examples of a couple of incidents that I've experienced recently. The first being a talkback session at the Action on Film Festival, where actors and even the director, who's a writer himself, basically said writers aren't necessary. All we need are good trained actors, and they can create the story arc and the character development and all that good kind of stuff. And their film was severely lacking for lack of a script. But that's another thing. I don't want to get into reviewing their film. The second incident happened at a workshop that I attended where an actress writer sort of critiqued another writer by saying that you're stepping on my toes, you're offending me, and I am insulted. You're doing my job for me, without really offering any concrete specifics on what that writer had done and what they could do to alleviate that. And when I tried to speak up for the writer, the actress writer interrupted me and told me that I was being harsh. So it wasn't a lot of good communication going on there. And so that got me thinking about, why does this happen, and where do these comments come from, particularly the one about, I'm insulted, you're offending me. Because that's something that really inhibits and limits what a writer can do. They suddenly become defensive and not quite sure what to write. So I began looking at that, and one of the things I did was talk to some directors and find out what their take was on it. And as I stated previously, the directors were not offended by scripts that have some of these things in there, like camera directions, POV, extreme close-up, things that where we get excessive action written. They don't like those things, and their reasoning was that it impedes the read of the story. It slows down the forward progression because it starts to become either caught up in the technical jargon with the camera directions, or it becomes novel-like in its prose instead of a visual medium for film. And so I took those ideas and looked at how we might make some corrections in our writing, in the scripts, what we actually put on the page. And you'll find a small example in the text below that I wrote, and then how I fixed that. But basically what we're looking at is eliminating all the camera directions. Anything that you put in there that takes the director out of your story, the world that you've created, and puts them in an edit bay where they're suddenly making decisions on which shot to go to. Should it be in a close-up? Should it be a wide shot? Is it an establishing shot? And things like that. So eliminate any camera directions, any POV, ECU, anything like that. Also, you want to eliminate wherever you say "we see." You don't need to tell us that we're going to see that, because it's a film. Obviously, it's going to be on the screen. We're going to see it. So don't tell us that we're seeing what we're seeing. It's a given. Speaking of givens, you don't need things like transitional phrases, cut to, or dissolve to, or smash cut to. Those kinds of things. And I've seen people put them in the actual body of the text, in the action itself, and that's really distracting. And you certainly don't need it at the end of a scene to indicate that you're going to the next scene. It's kind of obvious we're going to the next scene. So it's things like that you can go through, and there are more specific examples down below. But go through your script, and if you're doing those things, those are crutches that we use to try and get around things. Some people will call it lazy writing. And a lot of writers will say, but I need those things. That's how we explain the world and what's happening and how we get from place to place and what we see. And you don't need all that. And the way things were done 50 years ago with films, things evolve, things change, and we're in a new world, and you've got to learn what those format requirements are today. So take a look at those kinds of things, and if you're still not quite sure, pick up something like Dave Trottier's The Screenwriter's Bible. That's a great resource for formatting your script. Also, Your Cut To is showing. That's another great book. So those are things you can look at. For the actor, their comments that we're stepping on their toes and telling them what to do tends to come from the action, where we get over descriptive in what we want the actor to do, or the character to do. It's basically we're saying what the character should be doing, and the actor is interpreting that as we're telling them what to do. So there has to be a fine balance here. And again, going back to that idea of we need to keep the forward progression of the story going. We don't need to get tied down or bogged down in heavy description of what the character is doing and seeing. You know, if he's nervous, say he's nervous, move on. We don't need to know that he's sweating profusely and his heart is pounding in his chest and he's indecisive. He's not sure what to do. We don't need all that. It just very quickly, whatever he's looking at makes him scared, makes him nervous, or whatever he's feeling, and move on. Trust your actor to take that and build upon it. It keeps your flow going faster in your story, keeps the forward progression moving, and we want to make sure that the reader, whether it's a director or a producer, even an actor, makes it to the end of the story. We don't want them for any reason to go, this is getting dense, and I've got too many other things to do. I don't have time right now, and they put that script down. Bad, bad, bad. We certainly don't want that script going back in the slush pile, and we don't want it going in the circular file. So anything you can do to trim that down, to keep that forward progression going. Also, by eliminating all that extraneous stuff, it gives you more space on the page for your story. You can actually add more story in. A lot of times, writers, they get to page 120 and they haven't told everything yet, and it's because they've gotten all this stuff in there that just needs to be eliminated, and that will open up the acreage to allow you to complete your story. So those are all things to be looking for in your writing. If we take steps like these and eliminate these problems, that will probably eliminate a lot of the comments that you may be hearing either in a forum or in a workshop, maybe things that are being directed toward you, or maybe you're hearing from the other writers are hearing. If those comments are coming up, that may be part of the reason. And if we take those steps to address those issues, we can eliminate those conflicts and maybe eliminate those comments of "you're insulting me." And if we can all do that and all work together, if you're giving notes to a writer, don't just say you're insulted. Give some concrete reasons why this is bothering you and what can be done to eliminate it. If we can all do that and all work together, because it is a collaborative art, we can engender a lot of respect across the board for each other. And really, that's what we need to do. And if we can't do that, then I'm insulted. Anyway, that's all I have for now on the ScreenwritersJourney.com. Please check out the text below. It goes into a lot more detail. There is an example down there to show you how you can do the rewrite. Please post a comment down below, or you can join the conversation on the Screenwriter's Journey Facebook page. Anyway, I am off to Rewrites, the Writer's Workshop this week, and I'll let you know how that goes. Taking in another 10 pages of The Devil's Tramping Gown. We're coming down to the big finale on that, probably another week or so, and we'll have completed that. And then it's back to rewrites. But until then, keep writing on your own.